that's two difficult questions rolled into one there, isn't it? I mean, I think that we very much enjoy working together, and we've often said that, or certainly I feel that Crowley doesn't really exist without Aziraphale, and therefore
Likewise.
any performance that one gives doesn't really exist without the other performance, and that's what creates the whole. Really, that's if there's a sort of heart of the show, it's where these two characters meet, and that's always a sort of joy and a thrill to play.
Yeah, I mean, I love watching what David does with Crowley around the idea of someone who, underneath everything on the surface, there is a kind of decency and a love there, and being able to see how he expresses that through a kind of a mask of Crowley. I find that endlessly enjoyable and fascinating to watch, and I think that's me, Michael. But as Aziraphale, I think that's also what pushes Aziraphale as well. So in scenes where that are very emotional, I think you're right. I think in season 2 we get to some incredibly emotional places, and seeing what David's doing and what Crowley is doing definitely pushes me and Aziraphale into places that you wouldn't necessarily think that character would go to.
Yes, and I think the thing that sort of sums up Aziraphale and that Michael does beautifully, there's a sort of learned naivety. There's these two sort of apparently opposing. So there's a creature who's existed for millennia who seems constantly surprised about everything. There's a sort of a sweetness to that, a sort of purity to that, which is also a sort of has a wisdom to it, and the two things shouldn't really exist at the same time. But there's something that Michael captures that is just sort of that you couldn't really bottle. That is also, I think, what pulls Crowley in and infuriates Crowley at the same time. But I think they are both infuriated and drawn to each other irrepressibly.
Well, I mean, for me, what I keep rediscovering with this story and these characters is that absolutism is dangerous, and that the window dressing of religions and philosophies and that kind of stuff can be the stuff that people kill for, and it's the stuff that's at the heart of it, which is always about loving. That is, that's what you need to get to, and that through the grey areas and the flaws, it is our flaws that makes us aware that we need each other, and that through embracing your flaws, you reach out to someone else, and that's what connects us. And I think that ultimately is what I keep finding in this story all the time.
It's that good and evil are not simplistic concepts; that they all exist within a variety of shades of grey, and that what trumps all of that is meeting somewhere in the middle for some sort of tolerance and kindness and understanding. I think that's the sort of at the heart of what Terry and Neil were saying, albeit dressed up in this wonderful fantasy, hilarious, glorious story.
And why I think there's such a great recipe in this story, where you have these huge, epic, apocalyptic, massive backdrops and contexts and big philosophical questions being asked, but ultimately everything comes down to people being a bit rubbish at things, a bit inept, and and that's ultimately what everything keeps being reduced to, and there's something sort of glorious about that.